Hello students, I hope everyone is safe and doing good. Students, before we start, I would like to say that please keep a textbook if you have, a notebook and a pen or pencil handy. As this lesson has too many topics, it will be good for you if you make your own notes for your future references. Also, this video has too many diagrams and pictures. You can pause the video and can see the diagram and try to understand it better. So, welcome again for online teaching learning process. Students, here you can see cover page of your textbook. Again, this picture is related to our today's topic. This textbook belongs to Maharashtra State Board. Subject is Geography. Standard 9. Area is Physical Geography. Unit that we are going to learn, it is related to external movements. And today's topic is Exogenetic Processes Part 2nd. So let's begin our lesson. Lesson number 4, Exogenetic Processes Part 2nd. Exogenetic processes are a blanket term for those processes which operate on or close to the surface of the earth and which involve weathering, mass movement, fluvial, aeolian, glacial, periglacial and coastal processes. The term is normally used in contrast to the endogenetic processes whose origin is within the earth. Students, here you can see types of exogenetic processes. In the last lesson also we studied about this. Exogenetic processes is also called as exogenic processes. In the last lesson, that is in lesson number 3, exogenetic processes part 1st, we studied about the two types of exogenetic processes, that is weathering and mass movement, and also about their subtypes. Now in this lesson we are going to study about the other two types, that is erosion and deposition. You can see this diagram to understand better. Here you can see your lesson number 4 textbook page number 30 and 31. Read both the pages and understand it. Here is our erosion and deposition. You can see a picture of erosion. What is erosion? Erosion is the process that breaks things down. Erosion is the breakdown of the continents and the land around you. The overall effect of breaking down and weathering the land is called denudation. Denudation is the process of erosion. Water, wind, ice and waves are the agents of erosion that wear away at the surface of the earth. This is a picture of deposition. Now let's see what is deposition. Deposition is the process where material being transported by a river is deposited. Deposition occurs when a river loses energy. This can be when a river enters a shallow area. This could be when it floods and comes into contact with the floodplain, or towards its mouth where it meets another body of water. Here you can see work of rivers. I have shared here a picture. It shows about the river system from higher land to lower land. River as a source. It flows to the tributaries, main river, floodplain. You can see a picture of meanders, river mouth, delta and ocean. This is a picture of river landform. This is a diagram. You can study it well. Erosional work of a river. You can see here a picture of erosion. What is a river erosion? River erosion is the river erodes away the bed and banks of its channel vertically and laterally. Now what are the causes of erosion? First is rainfall. Rainfall can cause erosion both when the rain hits the surface of the earth, called splash erosion, and when raindrops accumulate and flow like small streams. Second is rivers. Rivers can create a significant amount of erosion over time. They break up particles along the river bottom and carry them downstream. Here is a picture of river transportation processes: suspension, traction, solution and saltation. And next is a picture of order of deposition. First is river as a source. It flows. The particles which it carries, its first is boulders, then cobbles, then pebbles, then sand, silt, and finally to the clay at the river mouth. Here you can see pictures of the erosional work of a river. What are its erosional work? It's gorge, V-shaped valley, potholes and waterfall. See the diagram. Here is a picture of transportational and depositional work of a river. The first one shows meanders and oxbow lakes. Second, flood leaves and floodplains. Third is delta region. See the diagram well. Next is gorgeous canyon. Here you can see the picture. A canyon is a deep, narrow passage cut through the surface of the earth with steep cliffs on both sides. Sometimes called a gorge or ravine, canyons are often formed in mountainous, arid or semi-arid regions where riparian erosion is much greater than erosion from general weathering. Here is a meandering of a river. You can see a picture. A meander is one of a series of regular sinus curves, bends, loops, turns or windings in the channel of a river, stream or other watercourse. It is produced by a stream or river swinging from side to side as it flows across its floodplain or shifts its channel within a valley. Next is flood leaves and floodplain. You can see a picture of flood leaves and floodplain. A floodplain is the area around a river that is covered in times of flood. Every time that a river floods its banks, it will deposit more silt or alluvium on the floodplain. A buildup of alluvium on the banks of a river can create leaves which raise the riverbank. Here is a picture of features of a floodplain. You can see the diagram. You can see the leaves, then what is called floodplains and the layer of sediments. Next again is the flood leaves and floodplains. It's a picture of a flood leaves and floodplain. Alluvial fans. Here is a picture of alluvial fans. You can see the same picture in your textbook. The sediment left behind that forms the alluvial fan is called alluvium. Alluvial fans are formed when water and sediment pass through a narrow gap between hills, mountains or canyon walls and then slows down and spread out when it reaches an open plain. V-shaped valley. You can see a picture of V-shaped valley. It looks like V-shape and you can see spurs, interlocking spurs. What is it? A V valley is formed by erosion from a river or stream over time. It is called a V valley as the shape of the valley is the same as the letter V. Next is delta. You can see a picture of delta. A river delta is a landform created by deposition of sediment that is carried by a river as the flow leaves its mouth and enters slower moving or stagnant water. This occurs where a river enters an ocean, sea, estuary, lake, receiver or more rarely another river that cannot carry away the supplied sediment. Here is a textbook page number 32 and 33. Read this. Here you are going to learn work of glaciers and landforms, erosional work by glaciers, transportation and deposition by glaciers. Now what is glaciers? You can see a picture. What are glaciers? Glaciers are made up of fallen snow that over many years compresses into large, thickened ice masses. Glaciers form when snow remains in one location long enough to transform into ice. What makes glaciers unique is their ability to flow. Due to sheer mass, glaciers flow like very slow rivers. Some glaciers are as small as football fields, while others grow to be dozens or even hundreds of kilometers long. Here you can see a diagram of glacial landscape. You can see horn, column, cirque, medial moraine, arete, truncated spurs, and the main glacier. This is a glacier erosional landforms. Again the same picture, but it doesn't have glaciers. Glacials depositional landforms. You can see the picture. See the diagram of the glacial depositional landforms. What are cirques and horns? See the picture. A cirque glacier is formed in a cirque, a bowl-shaped depression on the side of or near mountains. Snow and ice accumulation in carries often occurs as a result of avalanching from higher surrounding slopes. In these depressions, snow persists through summer months and becomes glacier ice. A glacier horn is a feature created by glaciers, and what exactly this term means is intricately linked with how it formed. A horn is a peak that forms from three arêtes. An arête is the edge that forms in the land from cirque erosion, or when two cirque glaciers form up against each other, creating that sharp edge. You can see the diagram or picture. It is shown very clearly. Next is moraines. You can see a picture of moraines. What is a moraine and how is it formed? Moraines are formed from debris previously carried along by a glacier and normally consist of somewhat rounded particles ranging in size from large boulders to minute glacial floor. Lateral moraines are formed at the side of the ice flow and terminal moraines at the foot, marking the maximum advance of the glacier. Here is a picture of moraines and their types. You can see lateral moraines, what is called lateral moraine, medial moraine, end moraine. Then down you can see what is called terminus of glacier, recessional moraine, ground moraine, terminal moraine and the outwash. What are the types of moraines? Moraines are divided into four main categories: lateral moraine, medial moraines, supraglacial moraines and the terminal moraines. A lateral moraine forms along the sides of a glacier as the glacier scrapes along. It tears off rock and soil from both sides of its path. This material is deposited as lateral moraine at the top of the glacier edges. Lateral moraines are usually found in matching ridges on either side of the glacier. Medial moraine. A medial moraine is a ridge of moraine that runs down the center of a valley floor. It forms when two glaciers meet and the debris on the edges of the adjacent valley sides join and are carried on top of the enlarged glaciers. Again, this is types of moraines. Further to supraglacial moraine. A supraglacial moraine is material on the surface of a glacier. Lateral and medial moraine can be supraglacial moraines. Supraglacial moraines are made up of rocks and earth that have fallen on the glacier from the surrounding landscape. Dust and dirt left by wind and rain become part of supraglacial moraines. Next is terminal moraine. A terminal moraine, also called end moraine, it is a type of moraine that forms at the snout, or you can say edge of a glacier, marking its maximum advance. Because the glacier acts very much like a conveyor belt, the longer it stays in one place, the greater the amount of material that will be deposited. Here you can see U-shaped valley. This is a picture of U-shaped valley. A U-shaped valley or glacial trough is formed by the process of glaciation. It has a characteristic U shape with steep, straight sides and a flat bottom. Glaciated valleys are formed when a glacier travels across and down a slope, carving the valley by the action of scouring. Now let's see what is drumlins. This is a picture of drumlins. Drumlin, oval or elongated hill, believed to have been formed by the streamlined movement of glacial ice sheets across rock debris or till. The name is derived from the Gaelic word druim, means rounded hill or mound, and it was first appeared in 1833. This you can see here, Rochemouttonnees. This is pronounced as Roche-Moutonne. In French we say as Roche-Moutonne. You can see a picture. Now what is it? In glaciology, a Roche-Moutonne or sheep back is a rock formation created by the passing of a glacier. The passage of glacier ice over underlying bedrock often results in asymmetric erosional forms as a result of abrasion on the stoss, or you can say upstream side of the rock and plucking on the lee, that is downstream side. Next is Hanging Valley. You can see a picture of Hanging Valley. A hanging valley is a tributary valley that is higher than the main valley. They are most commonly associated with U-shaped valleys when a tributary glacier flows into a glacier of larger volume. Hanging valleys are formed as a result of the erosion effects of glaciation. The valleys are thought to have been formed by two different glacier flows that interact with each other. A glacier with a relatively small amount of material flows into the main glacier with the more glacial material. Here you can see eskers. What are eskers? Eskers are ridges of glaciofluvial sediment deposited in ice walled channels or subglacial tunnels. Those deposited supraglacially are closely related to kames. Eskers appear in the post-glacial landscape as long sinus ridges of sand and gravel and can be used to reconstruct glacial drainage patterns. Here is the formation of eskers. How the eskers are formed. You can see both the diagrams here. One shows during glacial period and one shows post-glaciation period. Both the pictures you can see and find out the difference. Here I have shared textbook page number 34 and 35. Read these. This shows about the work of the wind and the landforms produced, erosional work of wind, depositional work of winds. What is the work of wind and wind erosion? Denudation, that is the work of wind. Air moves because of atmospheric pressure and this moving air is known as wind. Wind blows because of variation in air pressure. Winds perform denudation activity also, but the erosion and transportation capacity is low as compared to water. They work well in dry and desert area. What is wind erosion? The term wind erosion refers to the damage of land as a result of wind removing soil from an area. Most often, wind erosion occurs on a flat land in dry or sandy areas. For example, rock formation in various locations sculpted by wind erosion, say dunes, particularly in desert, of which sand is blown. Here you can see a picture of erosional work of wind. It shows landforms created by wind erosion in desert. These are the pictures of desert landforms, and the agents of erosions are wind and water. First picture shows mushroom rocks. Second, zeogen. Third, yardangs. Fourth, mesas and buttes. Fifth, in Inselberg. Sixth is Vantifacts. And seventh is deflation hollows. This picture shows depositional work of wind. These all are dunes. Dunes means it's a hill of sand formed and shaped by winds, can be active, shifting or fixed rooted with vegetation. These are the landforms created by deposition by winds in desert. You can see star dune, linear dune, concentric dune, transverse dune and parabolic dunes. Action of winds. You can see here a picture, the diagram. The arrow shows wind direction and you can see the dunes. The wind is the main geomorphic agent in the hot desert. Winds in the hot desert have greater speed, which causes erosional and depositional activities in the desert. The landforms which are created by erosional and depositional activities of wind are called as aeolian landforms. Now here you can see landforms shaped by wind. Mushroom Rock, Demoiselles, Zheonggan, Yadang. The wind also plays an important role in moving and reshaping dunes. Example of landforms that are obvious in deserts are rock pedestals, yadangs, desert pavements, deflation hollows, oases and sand dunes. Here is a picture of diagram you can see of yadang, and this is a picture of yadangs. A yadang is a streamlined protuberance carved from bedrock or any consolidated or semi-consolidated material by the dual action of wind, abrasion by dust and sand, and deflation, which is the removal of loose material by wind turbulence. Here you can see Mushroom Rock. Two pictures I have shared here. A mushroom rock, also called rock pedestal or a pedestal rock, is a naturally occurring rock whose shape, as its name implies, resembles a mushroom. The rocks are deformed in a number of different ways by erosion and weathering, glacial action, or from a sudden disturbance. Now you can see sand dunes. See the picture of sand dunes. What is it? A sand dune is a mount, hill, or ridge of sand that lies behind the part of the beach affected by tides. They are formed over many years when wind blown sand is trapped by beach grass or other stationary objects. Without vegetation, wind and waves regularly change the form and location of dunes. Generally speaking, there are 5 types of sand dunes. Number 1, transverse. Second, linear or longitudinal. Third, star. 4, Barkan or crescentic. And 5th is parabolic, or you can say blowout. These are the 5 main types of dunes which are shown below. The arrow shows the direction of wind. You can see Barkan dunes, linear dunes, transverse dunes, parabolic dunes, Barkan dunes becoming transverse dunes, and star dunes. Here is transverse dunes. You can see the picture of transverse dunes. Transverse dunes are long sand dunes with a wavy ridge running along their length. These dunes are arranged in rows that are parallel or side by side. They are made by winds carrying lots of sand. The ridges lie at the right angles to the direction of the wind. Linear or longitudinal dunes. You can see here picture. A large elongated dune lying parallel to the prevailing wind direction. Longitudinal dunes usually have symmetrical cross section. They generally form in areas that are located behind an obstacle where sand is abundant and the wind is constant and strong. Next is star dunes. You can see the diagram. Here is a picture of star dunes. Star dunes are sand dunes that form in a sandy desert when the direction of the wind changes a lot. These dunes have 3 or more arms, usually irregularly shaped. The dunes may grow to a considerable height and are generally taller than other types of sand dune. Barkan or crescentic dunes. You can see a picture of Barkan dune. A Barkan dune can form when a lot of sand is present in the desert. A steady wind from one direction is needed. The face of a Barkan is very steep. As sand escapes over the top of the dune, it forms a trailing wall that is not steep, extending further backward and meeting the desert floor. Parabolic dunes. You can see here a picture of parabolic dunes. Here is a diagram. U-shaped mounds of sand with convex noses trailed by elongated arms are parabolic dunes. These dunes are formed from blowout dunes where the erosion of vegetated sand leads to a U-shaped depression. The elongated arms are held in a place by vegetation. The largest arm known on earth reaches till 12 kilometer. Ripple marks. See the picture of ripple marks. This is a diagram. Ripple marks are sedimentary structures and indicate agitation by water. So you can say like current or waves or wind. Ripple marks are ridges of sediment that form in response to wind blowing along a layer of sediment. Next is Hamda. You can see a picture of Hamda. A Hamda is a type of desert landscape consisting of high, largely barren, hard rocky plateaus where most of the sand has been removed by deflation. Next is Seif dunes. You can see a picture. You can see the same picture in your textbook. Seif, a long narrow sand dune or chain of dunes generally oriented in a direction parallel to the prevailing wind or in a direction resulting from two or more winds blowing at acute angles to each other. Here is the textbook page number 36 and 37. Now we are going to study about the work of sea waves and the landforms, erosional work of sea waves, depositional work of sea waves. Work of sea waves. You can see the diagram of wave. Waves are created by energy passing through water, causing it to move in a circular motion. The ocean is never still. Whether observing from the beach or a boat, we expect to see waves on the horizon. Waves are created by energy passing through water, causing it to move in a circular motion. Landforms created by sea waves. You can see a picture here. This is how the landforms are created by sea waves. Landforms at the sea coast. This is a picture of the landforms formed at the sea coast. Erosional work of sea waves. See the picture. Waves are the major cause of erosion along the coast. Waves shape the coast through erosion by breaking down rock and moving sand and other sediment. Waves erode sediments from cliffs and shorelines. The sediment in ocean water acts like sandpaper. Over time, they erode the shore. The bigger the waves are and the more sediment they carry, the more erosion they cause. Waves erode sediment from sea cliffs. Depositional work of sea waves. You can see a picture of depositional work of sea waves. The erosional and depositional work is mainly through wash and backwash. When the sea water enters the beach area, it deposits some of the materials from the sea to the beach. As the sea water retrieves backwash, it erodes some materials at the beach like sand particles back to the sea. Significant depositional landforms developed by sea waves include sea beaches, bars and barriers, offshore and longshore bars, spits, hooks, loops, connecting bars, looped bars, tombolo, barrier island, tidal inlets, winged headlands, progradation, wave-built platforms and etc. Next is sea caves. You can see a picture of different sea caves. A sea cave, also known as a littoral cave, is a type of a cave formed primarily by the wave action of the sea. The primary process involved is erosion. Next is lagoon. You can see a picture of lagoon. A lagoon is a shallow body of water separated from a larger body of water by barrier islands or reefs. Lagoons are commonly divided into coastal lagoons and atoll lagoons. They have also been identified as occurring on mixed sand and gravel coastlines. Wave cut platform. You can see a picture of wave cut platform. The arrow shows wave cut platform, area of cliff recession and the cliff. A wave cut platform or a shore platform, coastal bench or wave cut cliff is a narrow flat area often found at the base of a sea cliff or along the shoreline of a lake, bay or sea that was created by erosion. Wave cut platforms are often most obvious at the low tide when they become visible as huge areas of flat rock. Next is sea arc. You can see a picture of sea arc. A sea arc is a natural opening eroded out of a cliff face by marine process. Some arcs appears to have developed from surge channels which are created by wave refraction causing the focusing of wave fronts on the side of a headland. Next is sea cliff. You can see a picture of sea cliff. Sea cliff in geology is an erosional landform produced by wave action which is either at the seaward edge of the coast or at the landward side of a wave cut platform and which denotes the inner limit of the beach erosion. Sea cliffs are steep faces of rock and soil that are formed by destructive waves. Waves crashing against the coastline erode until a notch is formed. The erosion of this notch undercuts the ground above it until it becomes unstable and collapses. This process repeats itself and the sea cliff will continue to retreat. Beach. Here is a picture of beautiful beaches. A beach is a landform alongside a body of water which consists of loose particles. The particles composing a beach are typically made from rock such as sand, gravel, shingle, pebbles. Beaches typically occur in areas along the coast where wave or current action deposits and rework sediments. Sandbar. You can see a picture of sandbar. A sandbar is an area of sand, gravel or fine sediment that sits above the water. It may be connected to the shoreline or it may be offshore. It is generally narrow and straight. A sandbar is also known as a shoal or sandbank. A large sandbar is called as a barrier island. Here you can see a same diagram which is there in your textbook. You have to identify the landforms made by waves and you have to write their names in the picture given in your textbook. Here you can see page number 38 and 39 of your textbook. Here we are going to learn about work of groundwater and landforms produced and about groundwater table. Work of groundwater. You can see the diagram. You can see unsaturated zone, saturated zone, cervic rock, air, groundwater. You can see a blue line shows water table, land surface, surface water. You can see how groundwater occurs in rocks. Study the diagram in detail. What is groundwater? Groundwater is the water found underground in the cracks and spaces in soil, sand and rock. It is stored in and moves slowly through geologic formation of soil, sand and rocks called aquifers. Groundwater forms when water from the surface seeps into the ground. This process is called recharge. The water is able to move underground through the rock and soil due to connected pore spaces. The area that is saturated with water is called an aquifer. Groundwater occurs in types of groundwater. They are rivers, lakes, natural springs, rain, snow, glaciers, aquifers, etc. Here you can see landforms produced by groundwater. See the diagram. Here you can see sinkholes, debris, that is rock, soil, etc. Then a groundwater table. Up you can see caves. Then you can see a source as a river. You can see stream disappears underground, and again further it shows stream appears from underground. Then again stream disappears. Cave mouth. You can see all this in detail. Groundwater table. Here you can see a picture of groundwater table. Here is from down, if you see, this is aquifer. Above that there is a summer water table which dries in summer. During summer it gets dries. Here is a river. Winter water table. Then unsaturated zone. Zone of intermittent saturation. Now what is it? Water table, also called groundwater table, upper level of an underground surface in which the soil or rocks are permanently saturated with water. The water table separates the groundwater zone that lies below it from the capillary fringe or zone of aeration that lies above it. Next is sinkhole. You can see a picture of sinkhole. Sinkholes are cavities in the ground that form when water erodes an underlying rock layer. Two types of sinkhole exist. One forms when the roof of a cave collapses and exposes the underground cavern. And the second type forms when water dissolves the rock underneath soil and creates an underground chasm. Here you can see a picture of diagram of stalactites and stalagmites. In the last lesson also we saw a picture. Here you can solve exercise question in your notebook. I have shown here textbook page number 39. You have to read the textbook and you have to solve this exercise questions in your notebook. Here is a diagram you can see. Observe the following picture carefully. Identify the landforms formed by different agents of erosion. Number them with pencil and write their names in the sequence in your notebook. Students, here I have given some references. You are required to download Diksha mobile app from Google Play Store and can watch this lessons video online. And you can also download State Board textbook or eBalbharti from Google Play Store and can read the lesson. Here you can see a picture of Diksha app and eBalbharti app. Thank you so much, students.